TV. Do it.
Dude, let's go.
Do it.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
That
Can I
TV
take
and
it?
that asshole. Do it. I'll buy it.
Let's go. Dude. Oh my God, bro. That right there is the fucking answer to all things Donald Trump. I want to watch this woman right here. She's intriguing. This woman was a Maga and she became a Democrat.
I'm going to talk to you today about how I used to be a Maga Republican and now I've turned blue. So let's go back to the beginning. So in 2008, I voted for Barack Obama. I was considered a Democrat. I was a registered Democrat. In 2012, I didn't vote. After Obama's presidency, I was just kind of like, I don't really, I was still kind of younger. I didn't really know what I wanted. I wasn't really paying attention to politics. I was kind of being naive. So I didn't even vote at all in 2012. And then 2016 rolled around and Trump came around. And let's just say I got lost in the sauce. I got lost in the whirlwind that is MAGA that began in 2016. And I kind of just, fell on that aspect because honestly, if I'm being fair, I'm not a huge Hillary Clinton fan.
Hit a lot of people.
That she did, I found absolutely kind of shady.
Dude, a lot of people were not Hillary Clinton fans. And I'm telling you what, guys, I will go to my fucking grave that Bernie Sanders had a lot to do with that. It was Bernie Sanders. He came out with this sort of lovable grandpa, voice of the people, left-wing populist platform that was really attractive. Let's take care of everybody. But he did it by vilifying Hillary as establishment and Wall Street and a warmonger and untrustworthy. It was very misogynistic, which if you look at Bernie's campaign, he had a lot of issues with misogyny in the campaign. There was a lot of controversy about the misogyny that was going on. And of course, he's part of the movement that helped create this concept of a crooked Democratic establishment. And it was after the Republican Party had hammered away at Obama for 8 years, trying to portray him as a criminal element who was the deep state and all this shit. Bernie comes on and basically assigned Hillary as being a representative of the deep state. And there was a moment I was being bombarded with propaganda. We all were, about Trump maybe being less dangerous than Hillary because it's part of the patriarchy to begin with, to portray women as untrustworthy and as deceptive and too emotional to lead, or they're too rigid if they have any boundaries at all. But Bernie played into that shit heavily.
Because honestly, if I'm being fair, I'm not a huge Hillary Clinton fan. And some of the stuff that she did, I found absolutely kind of shady. And I mean, I'm not saying I hate her by any means, you know what I mean? But like, I was like, okay, Donald Trump could bring something to the table. Mind you, I was still being naive. Yeah. I was only getting my information from the MAGA circle. And I wasn't doing any other information at all. I wasn't doing any other research. I liked my little bubble. I was happy in my little fucking bubble. It made sense to me. Everything lined up with everything else that I would say. Now, let me preface by saying I've always been pro women's rights and I've always been pro LGBTQ community. Period. End of story.
Now, in 2016, Donald Trump, remember him hugging the pride flag? Remember that shit? This was Trump in 2016. Remember? Look at that. Oh, shit. They've even got the T there. Crazy. And in 2012, Trump let trans women in his beauty pageants. He defended trans women. So he did this game back in 2016. Now, as soon as he got elected, this went to shit. His administration went ape shit as far as dismantling protections for LGBTQ people. They dismantled everything they could, but he lied about it. Of course, he lies about everything. He'll say anything for you to vote for him. And then the minute you vote for him, he will stick a knife right in your fucking back in 2 seconds. He doesn't give a shit, dude. He never has.
Even when I was MAGA. And I felt like I had to keep that stuff quiet, though, which was wild to me because, like, I believe in gay marriage. I believe in the trans community. I believe, obviously, women's right to choose.
She definitely had to keep that quiet.
I kept my mouth shut with MAGA because I was like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. There's other things that I fall in line with when it comes to his policies. Really, fast forward, he has no fucking policies, but I didn't know that. Yeah. So then 2020 went around and I was still in my naive bubble, even with my husband as well. And 2020 rolled around and I voted for him again. And then January 6th happened. And when January 6th happened, I was fucking done. I was done. I was like, I cannot stand by a man who tried to overthrow our Constitution, leading us to a brink of a civil war. I cannot blindly follow a man who made a fake elector's plot to try to get himself elected and
it's brutal.
Literally tried to overthrow our Constitution. I couldn't stand by it.
See, unfortunately, because of Eileen Cannon down in Florida, we never got to really hear about Trump's greater woes. Both the stealing of the classified documents, the Georgia case with Fani Willis, a lot of this stuff never came out. And then they crammed and got Trump elected, and now it's all going to disappear. But in addition to the rioting at the Capitol itself, Trump was involved in the most deceitful and deceptive attempt to overturn a fucking election that we've ever seen. And then he continued to lie about it for 4 years. And till the end of time, I won't understand how the mainstream media didn't just simply hammer away at that. They let it go because the mainstream media, I know Trump talks about CNN and all this, but every mainstream media is owned by right-wing billionaire. All of them. They're all right-wing. The media has always been all right-wing. Always. Always. It's just been real simple. They know the economy is better under left-wing governance, and it always has been, but right-wing sells news because the right-wing gets in there and they make everything go haywire. They can't govern. They do identity politics, and it sells advertising because they create fucking chaos. Everybody knows.
Tried to overthrow our Constitution. I couldn't stand by it and do it. And then Roe versus Wade happened, and even more shit started coming out. And I was like, this guy, he's an absolute piece of shit. He doesn't give a fuck about women. He doesn't give a fuck about children. He doesn't give a fuck about the LGBTQ community.
Now, let's bear in mind that, a couple months before he was elected president, he did say to us all, we heard his voice saying how he sexually assaults women. He doesn't even ask. He just grabs their genitalia. So, I mean, the fact that we were taken in, and by we, I mean the fucking Maga shitheads, is pretty surprising. It says a lot about Americans that somebody can basically announce themselves as a rapist, and the Americans will be like, well, they're not really a rapist. I mean, I know they just told me they rape, but, like, I really don't think they actually rape. I think... Bro, America, the fuck is wrong with you?
Give a fuck about, people in general, his country, or anybody coming into it, anybody who's already here. He just doesn't give a fuck. And I was like, I'm done. I'm absolutely fucking done. And now I will say with full transparency, I changed my voter registration. I am now back to being a Democrat. I do not see myself ever going back to Republican because my views simply just don't align with them at all. I'm not religious. I don't believe in God. And I am not buying this whole border issue.
Immigration is solvable with legislation, okay? A deportation force is not the answer. A police force going door to door to round up any type of human being is not the answer. That's stupid. A waste of resources. It's going to leave people scared and terrorized. If you really want to eliminate crime, you invest a lot of money in education and you eradicate poverty. Boom. Crime is solved. Well, they don't do that because they don't really want to eliminate crime. They want to use crime or the perception of crime as an excuse to acquire political power, to put more money into the prison system, which is free labor. That's that slavery thing that we outlawed, but we didn't really outlaw it because now it's just, you got to get put in prison. Hello? The whole immigration shit is bullshit, bro. Get some asylum judges, create a system that allows a pathway to citizenship that's reasonable, and create an immigration system. Police the border. It ain't rocket science. But the fact of the matter is we need immigrants. And we need a fairly significant amount of them here in America because of our industries. And we have a bunch of jobs that American citizens, the people born here, don't want to work those jobs. So let's get those undocumented people to become citizens. But there's another aspect to that where some of these businesses don't want them to become citizens. Because if they're undocumented, they can pay them less. and they don't have any workplace protections, and they can abuse the shit out of those employees because they know those employees won't say anything because there's a threat of deportation. If they really wanted to end undocumented immigration, they would prevent Tyson Foods from hiring them. You see? You see what's going on here? The whole shit is a ruse. It's a ruse.
I am for a democracy. I am for women having the right to choose. I am for middle-class families. I come from a middle-class family. I'm for healthcare. I am for women's rights, LGBTQ. I have a child with special needs. My son is autistic. Like everything that I believe in into my core does not align with the Republican Party. And it makes me emotional to know that I ever stood by idly and blind and let that shit happen, because it makes me sick to know that I voted for that fucking rapist criminal for 2 terms.
Yikes. Yeah, it's interesting because I really felt that. I was wondering the whole time she was talking, I was like, how the did you end up voting for him knowing all this? But then you see right there, she's kind of kicking herself. But I wonder if a lot of it has to do with the immediate environment. I'm curious if she goes into it and tells us.
Like, made me sick. And I just did my fucking research. After January 6th, the conspiracy started more. I started realizing what he was. And then Roe v. versus Wade happened, overturned. And I was like, I'm fucking done. And then just knowing that he didn't do anything that he said he was going to do. How he's treated women, abusing women, being liable for raping a woman and multiple others. Like, I can't get behind somebody like that. I am a woman. I am a mother. I am voting for my future, for my children's future. I'm done with this whole bullshit of, everybody's coming across the borders. Things are more expensive. I'm done with, tampons in the bathroom. I'm done with that shit. It's so fucking stupid. I won't even argue with you people anymore, because that's what you are, is just a bunch of belligerent idiots. Like MAGA idiots.
Dude,
period, end of story.
MAGA idiots. All right. No, I'm vibing with that. MAGA equals idiots. All right, let's go. Let's go. I'll take that one.
Right now, we need to focus on our democracy, women getting their fucking rights back. We need to focus on the LGBTQ community being able to have equal rights. We need to take care of the people that are in this country, and asylum seekers that are coming from other countries, we need to take care of as well, period, end of story. I'm not going to change my viewpoint on that, ever. We need to keep church and state separate.
That's going to be a tough one. The church and state separate is going to be a hard one, bro. It really is, because they're already, you got Oklahoma, you got Louisiana, you got Texas. They're chomping at the bit to end the Department of Education. And then there's going to be a flood of Bibles going back into schools. And, if they get their way, the South is going to go back to segregated schools. Let's be honest. We know it's what they want.
We need to have gun control, because guess what? I have 2 children. Like I said, one of them special needs. I'm scared to send them to school every day. So while y'all are bitching about tampons in the motherfucking bathroom, I'm worried that I'm not going to see my kid again. So that's why I'm voting blue. I will never go back to being a Republican again, because your party has totally been hijacked by that belligerent moron.
See, dude, I really have some questions about how she ended up voting for Trump in the first place. He made fun of special needs people. Maybe she was from a red state and she just felt like she needed to go along with everybody. Because when I hear her talk, she was like talking about how she is so pro-LGBTQ, pro-everything, but then she ended up voting for fucking Trump. How she bought into that shit, the transformation.
I hope you're well rested.
Looking at her old videos, dude, she looks like she's getting younger, actually. I think coming out of the MAGA stage, maybe that was it. Maybe it's a locational thing. Because, dude, one of the things that I realized is a lot of it is there's a pressure. The MAGA space is 100% about bullying and pressured existence. Remember Kyle Rittenhouse said he was thinking about not voting for Trump, and then all of a sudden everybody piled in there. Dude, if you don't vote for Trump, you're done. You're getting nixed. If you live in a MAGA environment that has a lot of I don't want to say rednecks, but I will, like a rednecky white trash sort of male element, they have no problem like telegraphing that you are in physical danger if you don't bow down to their fucking belief system. Seriously, it's no joke. You know, that's the entire ethos that the Proud Boys exists on, is this idea of a veiled physical threat that if you don't play ball, you're going to be in some kind of danger.
I wonder if all the liberals that are busy unfollowing their conservative friends and blocking them because they voted for someone else have stopped for a moment of self-reflection to realize that this means that for the last 4 years, that friend never felt that they could speak their mind without being labeled, rejected, attacked, and blocked.
I don't think so at all, actually. Because what kind of friend are you? You stayed in a relationship, you're saying, with your friends for 4 years and you never discussed politics? And then you just voted for a rapist, insurrectionist, concentration camp guy, like out of the blue? Like, who's the disingenuous one? I would venture to guess that you kept quiet because you knew you were going to get the boot for supporting the rapist, insurrectionist person as it was. I mean, let's be honest. We all saw Trump in his first term. So we already knew that the people who voted for Trump voted for the fucking worst shit. We gave you a pass the first term until we all saw the damage he caused. We all saw it. Yeah, we saw the tax cuts for the wealthy. We saw him try to dismantle our health care during a pandemic. We saw him mismanage the pandemic. Oh, yeah, it'll be gone by April. Soon as it gets warm, it's going to go away. And then when he got called out, he yelled at reporters and called them nasty and said that he was doing a perfect job while people were dying by the hundreds of thousands, right? Then he does the insurrection, he lies for years. Then he gets, brought up on charges for all manner of illegal shit. And you motherfuckers sit there and try to say it's all made up. The stealing of the classified documents, the $2 billion from Saudi Arabia, the fucking fake electors he sent to overturn the election, the phone call to the Georgia Secretary of State looking for 11,000 votes, the fucking attack on the Capitol, the Proud Boys spending the last couple of years punching parents at school board meetings and shit because they don't want their gay kids to be harassed. And he outright runs on a campaign of racism, misogyny, and anti-trans rhetoric, using the words of Hitler and promising concentration camps. And you think you're getting a free fucking pass? No way. You are going to be stained by that vote for the rest of your fucking life, as you should be, until you disavow that shit, until you disavow that racism and that fucking xenophobia, and you see the light. And then you come and say, all right, I'm not going to engage in any more racism and xenophobia and supporting race and shit. And then when you disavow it, we can come back together. And then we can pretend it never happened. And we can get to work, dividing up the resources and making sure that we eradicate poverty and get education and healthcare for all our citizens. And that everybody gets, good wages and a chance to own property and have some Starbucks and go on vacation and go out to dinner and have a good fucking life. But as long as you hold on to xenophobia and misogyny and racism and try to pretend like you're not engaging in that bullshit, we are going to continue fucking steamrolling you. And we're not going to let you at the table anymore. You're not getting a pass out of this. Trump has crossed some uncrossable lines. I'm not Joe Biden with the fucking red line on Israel that keeps moving. I have a red line that is about civil rights. If I was living in the 50s, I would have been like, this segregation shit's got to go. And I would have been on the front lines of making that shit disappear. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of us that feel this same fucking way. So you might be cool being MAGA in your little group of idiot fucking Trump dancing weirdos, or your little house in fucking Kentucky, wherever you guys gather with your little MAGA bullshit, thinking that concentration camps and xenophobia are cool. But that's the only place you're safe. The rest of the world, we're holding you accountable, and we will. And you won't outlive this until you fucking outgrow that shit. Because we're not going back to goddamn segregation. We're not going back to the 1950s when women were barefoot and fucking pregnant. We're not going back.